Horde is it's okay. Like I put that song in my script, and you said that it was well, we don't need like very heavy music, very emotional music. So
No, no, I don't
I don't know
understand
if
the
it's okay.
question.
That you told us that we can't. You told us that we can't put like very emotional or
Dramatic.
very dramatic. Yeah, sorry,
No,
music.
no dramatic
I
music. I didn't say that. Steph said that.
He said
I've said it, but so it's okay, Horde, or
he
it's
said
very
that no
dramatic.
dramatic
Up to
music.
you.
I also
Okay.
have a question
No,
about
it's not.
Yes.
but it's about the comic.
Yes.
What will be a definition of state building?
That's what actually what we're going to talk about
Yeah.
this
Great.
week. Yes.
Yeah. Teacher,
Yes.
how are you? Besides that, well, how are you?
How am I? Oh, I'm good. Thank you.
I start my comic.
Nice. So yeah, right now you should be able to do at least the part about nationalism in your comic.
I
The part
made
about state building, we're still talking about that topic, so it's okay. And actually, our session sincronica on next Monday will be to work on the comic.
Oh.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the other question, how do we like make the comic?
However you want.
But like we have to talk about the state building of the country we were assigned, right?
Mm-hmm.
How the country got to be an etica.
How it got to be what?
How it got to be an etica, etc. And
What's the final word you're saying?
etc. But I say etica.
Oh yeah. How it was created. So the only specification there is that if you're talking about how something was created, which is a verb, then you have to tell a story, right? It's events that happened or that people say happened.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
okay, that sounds easier. Okay.
So we can do the legend, right?
You can do what?
The legend, because there it explains like
depends
how
on
they
your country. Some countries put a lot of emphasis on the legend. Other countries are more pragmatic. So I mean, up to you.
Okay, but if we use one or the other, it will be all right if we explain it.
Yeah, I mean,
right way.
if both exist, you might have to mention the other one as well. But if you focus on one, that's up to you. It depends on your country.
Okay.
Yeah. Now, like I said, on Monday we're gonna work on your comic, and then on next Wednesday we're gonna work on your UNOTC video.
Wednesday.
Actually,
no, but
we need to deliver it on Wednesday.
Yeah.
No, on Thursday.
No, yeah. Wait.
Wednesday.
No. Wednesday?
Tuesday. Sorry.
No, Wednesday. Yeah, it's for Wednesday. So we could actually do it the other way around. How does that sound?
Monday. No, because we need to deliver the comic on Tuesday, 17.
Exactly.
So it could be the other way around. Oh, right.
No.
Well, it doesn't matter. The dates don't matter. The thing here is, it would be better if we look at stuff about the video on Monday and then the comic on Wednesday, right?
Well, if we have to deliver the comic the day before
Doesn't
Wednesday.
matter. We can change it to Wednesday. It's fine.
Okay. Okay.
Ahora resulta que ustedes son los que me dicen fechas a mí, ¿no? Así, de que no, profesor, era para el martes. No sé qué. Ok, pues, no. It's okay. It's fine. Okay, now, well, I'll let you know. But the point is, yeah, we're gonna use some sesiones sincrónicas to work on those things. Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Great.
Thank you so much.
Now, Diana, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Are you okay?
Oh,
Yeah.
no.
Great. Now, how are you guys doing? Everything okay?
I'm fine, thank you.
I wanna die.
I'm still
Don't die.
sick after 2 weeks.
You're still sick? Then I am glad to not be in the same room as you.
You said.
But I'm also glad to be able to talk to you, even though we're not in the same room.
Holy!
Salvadoria.
Yay!
Yes.
How do you make a country the size of a continent?
So you created countries last Monday, and I took the time to put your countries into the same map.
You are the best person ever.
Now the borders you are the ones you chose. So if you drew a circle, I drew a circle, and if you drew the shape, I drew the shape, right? So the issue here is, first of all, we have 4 countries. Are any missing? No, right?
No.
Okay. So we have 4 countries, and we have a few overlaps. Correct?
Yeah.
Specifically, there is this part of Valdoria that 3 countries are claiming. And this island is claimed both by Joy Union, which I still think should be called Joy Division, and
Yotago.
Yotago, right?
We will conquer them.
Now, first of
Wow.
all, and this tiny part of the island of this peninsula is claimed by both Samonjek,
And Yotago.
Amune.
Samonek.
Samonek. Is this like German, Samonek?
No, it's a combination of everyone's last name.
Last name.
Ah.
Oh.
So it's Samonek.
No, but it's pronounced Samonek.
It's pronounced Samonek.
Okay, so they claim the entire peninsula, but then Yotago is like, no, this tiny part of the peninsula is ours, right? Now, tell us, Yotago, Team Yotago, what identifies your country culturally? So the first few, like
Could be
5
like
seconds.
the Yotagians.
Yotagians, what are they? Like, say you are at a Mexmoon and you see the representative of Yotago and you're like, wow, that's Yotago. How do you know?
Because we are a how do you say that? A power.
World power.
A world power?
world
Clearly,
power.
since you're super big.
Yes.
It's like Rome.
We produce. Well, we are a pet. Wait. I don't know how to say. Like
Someone
we
help her?
are a country that has petrol.
Oil.
Oil.
So you're an energy superpower, right?
Yes.
Yes.
We produce.
And also we produce like food. So like agriculture.
So we have agricultural sustainability and we have manufacturers as well.
Yes.
Okay, so a very dynamic economy.
Yes.
Now that's characteristics of your country, but culturally, what defines you? What's your national anthem? What does your flag represent?
Okay.
What pulls you together? When you meet another Yotagian in the streets, how do you know, ha, paisano?
We are like somewhat Illuminati because we go for progress.
Okay, so you believe in
It's all
progress.
about progress.
That's why
Yeah, so then that sounds like you probably
Development.
emphasize education a lot, right?
Yes. It's
Our,
very strict.
And
It's like any European country that's very developed.
But that's too Russia.
Okay.
our
Now,
national anthem is "Feeling Good" by Nina Simone.
okay. So you're very are you friendly people?
Yeah.
We are very competitive.
Very competitive. Now, is Yotago welcoming of immigrants? If anyone arrives, are they gonna be like, yes, this is my new home? Or are they gonna be like, ugh, we're a minority?
In part, for example, they can't make like big choices because they are not citizens.
So they can't
So
vote.
we do accept immigrants, but it would be like separated. Like for example, we have United States that migrants come in, but they are separated. Like
Okay. So not inclusive, right?
No.
So you're not gonna kick them out, but you're also not gonna let them be citizens.
Exactly.
Right.
Well, they need to be like a lot of years, like 15 years, so they can
No.
become a citizen.
Yeah. No,
Okay.
not inclusive.
Now, how does Yotago deal with nationalism? Because think of it this way: you have at least South Valdoria being like, we're not part of Yotago. No, yeah, we're another country, and also this tiny island may be saying, you know what, we are Joinian.
Join in.
We are gonna suppress them and
Okay.
make them behave.
Excellent. Now, similarly, Samonek. What identifies you when you're in the street and you see a Samonekian? What do you say?
We kind of are friendly people and like similar music, like traditional music.
Uh-huh. What's your national anthem?
We're all in this together.
We're all in this together. Now, when I saw that in your PowerPoint, I was imagining that it's the lyrics from the High School Musical song, but kind of a military march. Like, we're all in this together, everyone, right? Because you're kind of a militaristic country, right?
Kind of like a what?
A military country,
Ah,
Kind of.
right?
Well, we have a powerful military, but it's not our strongest point.
Okay. What's your strongest point?
We have good relations with other countries.
Okay.
We
So are you a friendly country?
yes. We are powerful but friendly country.
Powerful but friendly. Okay. Are you particularly powerful with? I mean, are you particularly friendly with nationalism? If South Valdoria is like, you know what, we are not Samonekians, we are South Valdorians, are you gonna be like, great, let's include you in our nation?
I didn't understand what you said. Like,
So,
can you repeat?
so you say you're a friendly country with other countries. So if South Valdoria is like, you know what, government of Samonech, we are not Samonekians, we are South Valdorians, are you gonna be like, great, let's include you in our nation?
No, it will be more like, okay, you say you're not Samonekians, you're like other country.
South
So give us
Valdorians.
argument. What?
South Valdorians.
Uh,
That sounds like Salvadorians, like El Salvador. Anyway, continue, Isabella.
we will be like, okay, you don't like the form of government or whatever. So tell us, what are your arguments that you say why is kind of South Valdoria?
But that's about decision making. I'm asking attitudes. How do you deal with it? How do people react?
Well, we are like
Just let us be.
open-minded, but like to
Uh-huh.
negotiate.
Okay,
Negotiation.
so negotiation oriented, but mostly open minded, right?
Yeah, like we don't impose things, but we try to convince people.
Okay, so we have a point of conflict here, right? Because Yotago is very much about imposing things, mostly how part of your territory belongs to them, but you're more negotiation oriented, right? And I'm talking about attitudes. I'm not talking about mechanisms or decisions yet. Yeah? Now, thank you, Team Samone. Now, joy union. What identifies you? What, besides being super joyful and having People to Joy by Beethoven as your national anthem? And Joy Division as your national band?
Yeah, okay, well, the Joynians, and we also have a monument to Joy. You know, the big Christ that is in Brazil? It's something like that, but we don't have a religion, remember? So we have the Joy Monument.
Okay. Now, what identifies you? Are you an aggressive country?
We have the number one. We are number one in education in the whole world.
So
We
very
also,
educated.
yes.
So are you
and
very
also-
educated and also very happy? That doesn't
Yes.
really match in real life.
No.
Yeah.
Everything is possible there.
Okay. Oh.
The most secure place in the world.
So Joy Union is very safe, very educated, very happy,
Yeah.
right?
Exactly. And the drugs are legal there.
So,
Tienes el education number one cuando drugs are legal. Eso
Yeah.
tiene sentido.
Is of
That's
course
right.
because if it's because the people is happy, so there's not people.
So
that
when you have education number one, people don't do drugs normally.
well, that thing
Because
is,
they are bad.
maybe they're so educated that they know which drugs to enjoy and which ones to avoid, right?
Precisely.
And they know
Pretty much every drug does damage to you. But
Yeah, but I mean, if they're so educated, maybe they're like, so clearly we
Yeah,
should
but
heroin.
Yeah, for
But
example,
what happened with
marijuana, it's going to be legal because it's so good for some. I
so
don't know
you're
how
kind
to
of
say
so
it.
you're very joyful and educated, but you also kind of emphasize freedom, right? Because you're like
Yeah.
drugs are legal, anyone can do them, and if it's kind of their
Well, there are
problem if
some
they
drugs that
screw
are
up their
not
lives.
But if
Right?
they are
are not
drugs,
legal there, but we don't want drug traffickants in our country.
Okay, very
So
good.
if the drugs are part of the government,
Now,
like,
now, since you emphasize freedom, how do you feel about half your country belonging to Yotago?
well, we want to have a treatment with them
So
you
you would
should
also,
fight.
are you also
because
negotiation
we are
minded?
because we are not going to fight because we are so
You're
peaceful.
not gonna fight?
But
Now,
Yotago is
what
gonna fight you.
okay.
Ni modos.
So this is
I mean, I'm not
attitude.
Yotago, but I
We're
guess.
not
We
talking about
also
decision
are,
making yet. Yes.
yeah.
Finally, last but oh, by the way, South Valdoria, you did not put your names in your PowerPoints. I don't know who's in your team. I need to know.
Oh no.
I am. I send you and they know, but then I have to. You checked the presentation.
Yes, and you didn't put your name there. Who is in your team?
It's me.
Maria, Sebastián, Pedro, and
Yes,
Jesus.
quite.
Maria.
The only ones that weren't in other teams.
Tú también checaste el PowerPoint, me pudiste haber dicho, pero no, solo me corregiste que escribí mal
So
whisky.
only Maria got 100 because everyone else, no names. Anyway, I'll fix it later.
No,
I'll fix it later. I'll fix it
No,
later.
thank
But come on,
Okay.
you're in prepa. Ay, no le puse nombre.
Sorry, teacher.
Anyway, what distinguishes South Valdorians? What's the point? What's the
Okay, so let me tell you.
They,
Let me
they
tell you.
like alcohol.
the what?
Yes.
You like
We're very
They like whiskey.
uh-huh.
So the thing was, before like freaking Soviet Union here, Yotago took over the entire world. This little island that is up here, like this one.
Mhm.
Sorry for the horrible circle. Was North Valdoria, which once was a unified empire.
Uh-huh.
So, but then it broke down, and so the
It
thing
joined
that
Samonet.
defines South Valdoria, what?
It joined Samonet, clearly.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't
No,
know.
because
Uh-huh. Now, the
The
thing
thing-
is, you say you like alcohol, so you are people who party, right? Some countries, some nations are like that. What
but
else?
we're also very, very
Exactly.
traditional.
Very traditional. Uh-huh.
Very
So it sounds
patriotic.
what?
Very patriotic.
Very
like
patriotic.
most of the things that base our country are the things that like we have to define who we are, because the thing is they are always in a state of war or like threat of war with North Valdoria, because they have very great competition, so they are very closed up.
Okay,
It's
so
like-
kind of isolated, mostly because
Yeah.
it seems like you have your own nation, right? You're like, we're South Valdorians, but at the same time, two big countries are like, no, you're part of our country.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We
Now,
are-
this leads us into a few specific points of conflict I can see here. Number one, South Valdoria, who does it belong to? Number two, this tiny point of the peninsula, who does it belong to? And the entire west side of Joy Union, right? Now, are Samoneg, South Valdoria, and Joy Union willing to just give that up to Yotago?
No.
Just be like, okay, fine,
No.
take it. No, right? Why not?
No. Because it's like our country is like a potential country,
A world.
and it's like
It's kind
it's
of
like
like Scotland, kind of.
What?
But
What?
I mean, we sure would prefer to be. I mean, me to be with Yotago, but we are not part of their country. We just have like an alliance or something. Like
Now, the
Great
thing
Britain.
is, nations are the cultural elements, right? The things that identify you as a unit. Now, when we get actually concrete about decision making, the state, what would actually happen? Yotago, how do you deal with these three parts of your country being taken by others?
Just let us be.
We would.
They are not taken.
conquer, reconquer.
You reconquer,
No
right?
alliance.
Now, what type of government do you have? Can you just send troops, or do you have to pass it through Congress, or how does it work?
Yeah.
We are.
We send troops.
We
It first gets like debated.
Like
the
you
high
have
class.
because
to get to an agreement to do that.
So
we
so a
are
debate
a
happens.
democracy.
So you're a democracy?
Yes.
No.
And what if people vote to not defend? And they're like, fine, just let them be independent.
No,
we don't care about them.
We aren't democracy.
Yes, we
it's
are.
more like a monarquía parlamentaria.
A parliamentary monarchy is a democracy, usually.
Well, but it only counts on the high class, and the high class has an aggressive.
So you have kind of an oligarchy, so there's an elite that makes the real decisions, right?
Yes.
That's what it sounds like. Kind of like Russia.
Kinda.
Yeah. So there's an elite that makes the real decisions, even though there's kind of the illusion of a parliament that discusses things. Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Now, Samone, how do you deal with these two parts of your country leaving or being invaded by Yotago?
They don't have an answer because
They know we are more powerful.
we defend ourselves with the really good strategic military.
But who makes the decision? Is there a government that just sends the troops, or does it have to get debated?
No.
No, it has to get debated.
Yes.
What type of government do you have?
They have a representative democracy.
Okay, so you're actually a representative democracy, unlike Yotago, right? So you have to ask your population if they're okay with you defending the territory.
Yeah. Kind of how the system works is first in the high level governments, this possible decisions are like options are made, and then those options are kind of told to the people and they decide.
So the people actually decide.
Uh-huh.
And if the people are like, you know what, let them be independent. We don't care. You let them be independent.
Yes, because the government is made by the people.
Okay, so could we say that this makes Samoneg kind of weaker than Yotago?
Yeah,
totally.
Besides, the point is 2 times smaller.
I mean, that can be changed. Now, finally, the two smaller countries.
More population.
We know Joy Union would try to negotiate, right? You have a democratic government, correct?
Yeah.
Because Diana already explained how you deal with, for example, drug trafficking and organized crime. So it stands to reason that if you're invaded by another country, you would also try to negotiate and be like, so you're free to go, but let's talk about this first, right?
Yes.
And South Valdoria, what type of government do you have?
Monarchy.
Yeah, kind of a parliamentarian monarchy.
So you're a monarchy? Now, how do you deal with being claimed by two separate countries?
Well, we will negotiate with them.
No, because we have literally everything to lose. We lose this land, we lose our country.
Because think of yourselves as Texas, kind of, where the United States and Mexico are like, this is part of Mexico, and they're
still
like,
have some problems.
Yeah, but like you have to evaluate both options. Like if you say no to both countries, they will probably just go there
and destroy everything,
and invade you. Hopefully, Yotago would probably do that. So you have to just negotiate and see like what country is better to be united with. I mean, maybe not the same country, but like
South Valdoria would be willing to give up its independence for.
I don't think so.
No, not an independence, but get to an agreement where there's like a win-win.
So here's the thing. So we wouldn't become part of the other people's country, but we would align with the one, because the thing is, both Salmonek and Yotago are interested in fighting each other, right? So we support the one that is most likely to win, but we don't give in to them.
Very good. Now,
And if they
when
try to attack us, we fight back with iron fist.
okay, now
So
in having
silent
these two
treatment is different.
conversations, the one about cultural elements and how people from each country are, and the one about how to deal with very practical concerns, that's the difference between nation and state. You see the difference?
What?
In having these two conversations, the one about how people are and how their attitudes and how they feel, on the other hand, having a conversation about practical concerns, like what to do if you're invaded, what to do if you have drugs being legal in the country next to you, etc. Those are very practical decisions that go with a discussion about states. That's the difference between nation and state.
Okay.
Yeah.
So nation is like the people, and state is kind of the way of organization of them.
What do you mean by the people?
Yeah, like the people, what they represent, no?
So the communities, the cultural
Like
element.
cultural aspects, right?
Uh-huh. Yes. So that's the difference between nation and state. Yeah.
Okay.
Now, when we talk about the Congress of, you saw the videos and read the sources about the Congress of Vienna?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
So, what was the objective of, say, imagine this is Europe and you already fought a war, and let's say Samonek lost. It lost. Losers, right? So, now all the other countries, in this case, Yotago, Joy Union, and Salvadoria, have to negotiate the terms of the end of the war, and they decide to actually include Samonek in the negotiations. Why would they do this?
Because even though they lost, they are still a powerful country. Like not as powerful as Otago, but still powerful.
Now, what is the objective of keeping countries being powerful even if they lost?
That no country is more powerful than the other one, so there are no more wars.
And yes, very good. And
There's
what do we,
stability.
exactly what Maria said, what do we call this?
Stability.
Power balance.
Balance of power, correct.
Balance of power.
Yes. So the entire point of including France was to have a balance of power, because if all countries are about the same amount of powerful, what happens? Are they going to fight each other?
No.
No,
No.
Not really. Why not?
Because they
because
have,
they have the same power.
Yeah,
They-
but why not? What
they
would
have-
happen?
too much-
There is
too
no
much-
reason.
Because it's just like losing resources
Mm-hmm.
stupidly.
It wouldn't really make sense, right? Now, in the Congress of Vienna, very specific agreements were made, right? Namely, alliances. And what was the commitment here? What type of countries were they creating?
Can you repeat it?
What type of countries were they creating in the Congress of Vienna?
More-
You were going to say monarchies, Sebastian?
What? No, I was like going to say like small, little divided countries.
Not really. A few of them were big.
Yeah.
Now, what type of countries? Were they friendly countries were they friendly to revolutions? Were they countries that
No.
said, if you want to
No.
fight, let's do it?
No, they were like
No.
no popular government and
Uh-huh.
no nationalism.
Uh-huh.
What else?
They were
Not
conservative.
liberal reform.
Conservative.
They were-
Very good. Now, what does it mean for a country in this context to be conservative?
Like they're against nationalism. They
Uh-huh.
are very traditional. Like
Mhm.
they think their base is the tradition, and tradition is through institutions, and they can be
Administration?
religious institutions.
Institutions.
Institutions. Okay.
It's basically stability within and between countries.
And they think like nationalism is create borders, and they don't like that.
Uh-huh. Now, the thing, in keeping this in mind, were they creating de facto states or legitimate states?
De facto states.
What?
De facto states, right?
De facto states, yes. Why?
Just let me remember what it is.
Now, if you want to remember these definitions, they're in my latest what video.
Yeah, I saw the map. That's really useful.
I'm glad. So there's a difference between de facto states and legitimate states. Anyone remember?
No.
The facto states were the one that imposed power by
Yeah.
force.
By force, yes. Uh-huh. And the other ones?
The ones were like imposing power through like consideration of opinion.
Like giving reasons why are they right.
Reasons, but a specific type of reasons. It's not just reasoning, it's moral reasons. Yeah? Because think of it this way. In a legitimate state, the government recognizes that no one wants to pay taxes. If it was just democratic, they'd be like, well, no one wants to pay taxes, fine, let's not pay taxes. But morally, they are saying, we know you don't like this, but it's necessary. We need this money to help everyone else.
Yeah.
Right? So there's discussion, there's reasoning on moral grounds. What's right and what's wrong. Yeah?
Yeah. And they were creating these de facto countries because they were asking for opinions.
Right? Now, in de facto countries, if a group of people say, if Yotago is a de facto country, clearly, and South Valdoria is like, we really want to be independent. Will you let us be independent? Will Yotago be like, sure, let's consider options?
No.
Not at all, right? They rule by force and they're going to be like, no, you're going to be quiet, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
And that's kind of how the countries after the Congress of Vienna were supposed to behave. That was the agreement, right? Specifically in countries like Austria-Hungary that there were one empire, they had one emperor, but at the same time, they were multinational empires, right? So a lot of nations were under the power of the same monarchy.
Yeah.
Yeah? So why would this be a problem?
Yeah.
Because they're strong because they're big and they're like a lot of persons. So if they start dividing in, like if the empire begins to divide, then they're not so strong.
Yeah, they become less strong. And also the thing is, you really want people to do what you say, right? And the issue is, in Austria-Hungary specifically, there were at least 5 nations, but the most important ones were the German part, which was Austria, and the Hungarian part, Hungary, right? And the thing is, they had the same monarchy, but they had separate government structures, separate states. Yeah.
And they both wanted to rule over the other, and so
kind of, but it was also it was difficult because they couldn't rule in different languages. It was very difficult in terms of administration. But also, for example, if you were a citizen of Austria and you were and you lived in Hungary, you could live there. But if you needed a passport, for example, you had to go back to Austria to get it because that was your nation.
You need a what?
A passport. Right? So the thing is, it wasn't easy for people either, but at the same time, Austria-Hungary was committed to make them ignore those things. Yeah?
Yeah.
So besides making the country weaker, why is nationalism a problem here?
Because
think of it this way. Are people going to be like, sure, we won't fight any revolutions?
Yeah, exactly. They would fight, and that would cost time and money to the government.
Yeah, especially because, remember, the Congress of Vienna was supposed to undo the French Revolution. They were like, it never happened, conservative stuff. But at the same time, it did happen, right? People knew it happened. People now knew about the individual perspective, rights, the social contract, all that stuff, right? And they were like, that sounds kind of great.
And it will never be the same again.
What?
No, nothing.
Okay. Yeah. So, any questions?
No, thank you.
You understand the difference between nation and state?
Yeah.
Can you explain it to me, Santiago?
So,
that nation, it's more like the cultural aspects of the country, and the state is all the the decisions of the country to make it
a government
like that. Yeah.
Okay.
I understand.
Now, with this kind of thing, you should be able to answer about the first 4 questions in the questionnaire.
Yes.
Yeah.
How many questions are there in the questionnaire?
8.
8.
Oh boy.
Wait, no, there's 7. No, there's, well,
7.
The thing is, question number 4 has 2 columns, so that's why it's 8.
But we don't have number 5, right?
It's because number 5 is the second column in question 4.
Okay.
Sorry.
Let me check.
Oh.
Yeah. Okay. Any questions?
I think no.
So this is going to help us to do the questionnaire.
Yeah, actually, the entire point of the sesiones sincrónicas is that we answer the questions together. That's the entire discussion here.
I have a question. When are you
Yes.
going to give us asesorías? It's because
Asesorías?
I still don't get what is nationalism.
You need to ask him for us.
Yeah, there is no specific time, but you should contact me and we can schedule one.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Vienna, you never wrote to me about that.
Yeah, sorry. Actually, I was going to. But
Okay.
oh yeah, I have a question. I have lots of questions that I wanted to ask you. In this
Don't
more
leave them to
general.
the end. Remember, the second partial ends next week.
Yeah, I know. Oh my god.
Okay,
So we are going
I
to
was
have
going
like
to-
an exam.
No, the exam is the comic.
Oh, okay.
Teacher, I have a question. Well, it's not a question, but it's like an declaration because.
A declaration?
No, like I didn't understand quite well if the facto states were like monarchies.
Not necessarily.
Well, not necessarily, but they were like do what I say, and I won't hear for your opinion. And the legitimate states were like this will happen because this and this and this. Yeah. Am I wrong?
Yes.
Okay.
Now, the difference between de facto states and legitimate states is not the type of government they are, but how they handle things, what they do.
Okay.
So they could both be monarchies or they could both be republics or whatever, but depending on how they handle issues is whether if they're de facto or legitimate.
Okay.
Yeah? Okay. So if you don't have any other questions, you can leave and I'll stay here for the next 10 or 15 minutes for any asesorías you may need. But if you don't have any questions, we'll see each other on Friday, or we can talk tomorrow during la sesión asincrónica.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, bye.
So generally, we have